All right. Hey, and welcome back to another episode of Semper Phallus, where we, the people, are always dicked. If you haven't already done so, please like, comment, and subscribe. If you can hear me, please comment with a 1 or a yes or a go F yourself. Whatever you really want to say, just let me know that you can hear us. Because we got an important show tonight, as we do every week. But, tonight's a good one. We're going to talk about how communist is America. And it seems like it's more and more communist every day. But how communist? We're going to talk about the food plants that are being destroyed all around the country. We're going to do an update on that. We're going to go into detail on the continuing crisis with Roe versus Wade and what seems to have just decided to inject itself into our day-to-day lives right before midterms. And then we're going to talk about the shooting of Quandry Sanders, because it's important, and I think you'll be shocked to see the video of that incident. So before we get too far ahead of ourselves, I want to show you one thing that I find very funny. And it's just, it's just America just throwing the dollar bills.
Who does daddy work for?
Just throwing those dollar bills at Ukraine. Their little slut floozy on the pole there. Look at those dollars. Those don't look like hundos, though. That's not an accurate picture. Those, those would need to be $1 billion bills for that to be accurate at this point, because they just announced that they're trying to do 40 billion.
I think it's absolutely insane that these partisan, freedom fighters, Ukrainian militia have used more federal tools of like throwing javelins and tows and all kinds of stuff than any of our guys have ever shot ever in combat.
Yeah. No, and they've literally been given so many of our weapons and so many of our mercs, because there are Americans on the ground. Don't be fooled.
Don't say that.
I'm sorry. There aren't.
At least we're going to get demonetized for what it's worth.
We're already demonetized. I said slut. So, but yeah, no, Americans are on the ground, as well as British, Royal Marines, but they're not officially sanctioned, although they are. But whatever.
They're going to be that NGO, non-governmental organization.
Yeah. So
we're here to rescue the dogs.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why you're here.
So before I go into the communism in America, I want to show you a video. Now, this is just a TikTok video that I stumbled upon, and it's this girl. She's going over an article that was in the Commonweal, and it's this person breaking down how
she nails it.
Well, she nails it, but there's some things that I think we should, extrapolate further. But she's talking about communism, or she's breaking down, somebody else breaking down Americans, what they know, what they don't know, and what it really means, right? So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to play this video, and, we might get it on the first shot, we might not. And here we go. Play this over here.
I just read the most amazing paragraph about socialism by David Bentley Hart, and you have to hear this. Americans are, of course, the most thoroughly and passively indoctrinated people on earth. They know next to nothing, as a rule, about their own history, or the histories of other nations, or the histories of the various social movements that have risen and fallen in the past. And they certainly know little or nothing of the complexities and contradictions comprised within words like socialism and capitalism. Chiefly what they have been trained not to know or even suspect is that in many ways they enjoy far fewer freedoms and suffer under a more intrusive centralized state than do citizens of countries with more vigorous social democratic institutions. This is at once the most comic and most tragic aspect of the excitable alarm that talk of social democracy or democratic socialism can elicit on these shores. An enormous number of Americans have been persuaded to believe that they are freer in the abstract than, say, Germans or Danes, precisely because they possess far fewer freedoms in the concrete. They are far more vulnerable to medical and financial crisis, far more likely to receive inadequate health coverage, far more prone to irreparable solvency, far more unprotected against predatory creditors, far more subject to income inequality, and so forth, while effectively paying more in tax when one figures in federal, state, local, and sales tax, and then compounds those by all the expenditures that in this country, as almost nowhere else, their taxes do not cover. One might think that a people who once rebelled against the mightiest empire on earth on the principle of no taxation without representation would not meekly accept taxation without adequate government services. But we accept what we have become used to, I suppose. Even so, one has to ask, what state apparatus in the free world could be more powerful and tyrannical than the one that taxes its citizens while providing no substantial civic benefits in return, solely in order to enrich a sporadically overinflated military-industrial complex and to ease the tax burdens on the immensely wealthy? That is from Commonweal magazine, and the article is titled 3 Cheers for Socialism.
All right, so
That's heavy.
So there are some things in there that I think are accurate. One is that a lot of Americans don't seem to have a clue, whether it be about our actual history. I would say that she's incorrect. She being her interpretation, she's just essentially regurgitating what this author said.
From the Commonweal.
From the Commonweal. I'll pull it up, actually, just so we have it on the screen. So the article's 3 Cheers for Socialism. It's written by David Bentley Hart. And this is from February of 2020, right? So there's a couple of things. So they talk about how, we might have a lot of freedoms that are in the concrete, because of the Constitution. But these other countries that she refers to, I think she talks about Germany.
And the Danish.
And the Danes. I say the Danes because I've been watching Viking shows and stuff on Netflix. But, she's trying to say, or this author's trying to say, that they enjoy more freedoms than we do. Theirs are just not locked in concrete. I don't really agree with that. I don't have a way of proving it. But there are certain things that they cover in it that I think we as America could do a better job. I think that they're, like when people talk about universal health care, I'm not against a universal a healthcare option, like a basic healthcare option. But I don't think that we should create a universal health care, all-encompassing health program that is run by the government.
Like the National Health Services in Britain.
Because everything that is run by the government, at least in the United States, turns to shit. I mean, the fact that the military doesn't have catastrophic failures more frequently because they do have problems is actually surprising. And it's mostly just because the people in the military are regular people. The only thing that I see in the military that is bad because of it being this federalized, centralized organization is the spending. But, the people there are regular people and they do a good job. But what I wanted to do is I was going to bring it down. Just give me a second so I can find it, because this is this guy does not, he does not pull punches, right? But it's a long article and I don't want to read the whole thing to you. Let's see. Is this freedom? I don't know. Is it freedom? You know what? I don't think a lot of what we're experiencing right now is freedom, but that could just be me. What do you think? So anyone who's watching right now, whether it be Kevin or Brian or anybody else, what do you think? Do you think we're experiencing freedom in the United States right now? Let's see.
Well, I think our freedoms have been curtailed for right about after Reconstruction. Right now, which seems like about 160 years ago at this point, but through Reconstruction, the carpetbagging that happened there, the Jim Crow laws, and then we can move on into the World War. After that, or just before that, we adopted the the income tax.
Yeah.
Then after that, we hit the 1934 Act. We got the Reserve. Then we got the Depression.
Yeah.
And then FDR showed up for a bunch of terms and made the Great Society.
Oh, goddamn.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, let me see if I can pick up where I wanted to on this. From what exactly? Heavy hand. All right. So, is this freedom from what exactly? Certainly not from the state. The heavy hand of centralized government is no lighter. Its proprietary power over its citizen is no smaller here than anywhere else in the developed world. Quite the reverse. Certainly where taxes are concerned, no government in the developed world is any more rapacious and no legal authority any more draconian. Here, moreover, no less than anywhere else, the state governs trade, makes war, passes laws, delivers mail, and does all the most basic things the modern state does. But here also, to a greater degree than in any other advanced economy, the government raises its revenues from for the express purpose of transferring as much wealth as possible from the working and middle classes to corporate and the plutocrats, or corporations and the plutocrats. So I think that me and this author might not agree on a lot, but damn do I agree there. Because there's no denying that we have a very draconian, centralized power from D.C. that is desperately trying to, wring everyone out and hold you upside down and shake every penny out of you. Mm-hmm. And that money doesn't seem to be, there's no taxation with representation anymore. That, I can't advocate for what I want to, but people should be upset. I can't say it on, if this will immediately be removed from YouTube if I say what I want to say.
Don't say it.
But people should be upset. People should be making it known that they're upset, that your tax dollars, the amount of taxes that you're paying, you're not represented, and they don't care.
They don't.
They're not asking.
They're not beholden to anything anymore.
They're not asking the population.
No, they don't even come back when they're supposed to. They stay in D.C. now. They live there.
Yeah, that's true. Most of these representatives, let's say, for example, they're elected and they're representing New Hampshire or Maine,
or a small congressional district, which is all mom and pop.
Yeah, but then all of a sudden they spend like a month in that location, and they really live in D.C.
Yeah.
That's not the way it was ever meant to be.
Which is really expensive, which is odd because they only make $140,000 a year, which ain't that much, to be honest.
I thought it was up to like 175, but I might be talking about the speaker.
Yeah,
though.
Exactly.
Okay, well,
but if you're a freshman rep, it's like 142,000, and that's not a lot of money in this day and age.
So, but there are things. So the whole article is really talking about socialism, and it's advocating for socialism and saying that America is, you're trained from birth, and before you can walk, essentially, that socialism and communism are bad, and that you're trained that all forms of this turn into violence and genocide. It does. In most cases, when you talk about a full communist or 100% socialized state,
like a Stalinistic dictatorship, like what they have in North Korea and what they had in early China.
Because think about it, to enact communism or socialism, everyone has to share. You have to take from everyone, pool all your resources together, and then redistribute, right?
Right.
But if people don't want to, how do you force them to?
You throw them into gulags.
You kill them.
Yeah, you get rid of them.
You either brainwash them, you put them in re-education camps, which is essentially torture until they decide to go along with it, or you kill them, and in more cases than not, that is the route that it goes. Whether you're talking about Mao, or you're talking about Stalin, or you're talking about, what was it?
Pol Pot.
Was it Pol Pot? And also, wasn't Rwanda something similar too?
No, I mean, Africa is just ugly all in general.
Yeah, well, there's been a lot of violence, but just saying. So you look around history, throughout history, and these socialist, communist regimes, or Marxist, whatever you want to call them, they almost exclusively end in genocide. And right before genocide, they do something else, which is important to note, is they strip arms from the populace.
Yeah, they ban certain words, phrases.
They ban words, they ban phrases, they ban religions.
Yep.
They take away your ability to defend yourself.
Yeah, the only religion that communism ever has is the religion of the state. Like, you have to believe in that the state is the supreme being and the ruler over you. And I don't know why that I don't know why that sold so good in the late 1800s, early 1900s. I don't understand it. Those big workers' rebellions and stuff that were happening in Europe.
So the thing is like the workers' rebellions, the idea of the employees, the idea of the labor owning the means or whatever, like how most socialized systems and communist systems, they kind of start to get headway and gain momentum because the worker party or the labor movement is getting dicked, And so they're looking to benefit themselves. They're looking to even the score. But it starts out in that way, but it almost always turns into, just like almost every other union, it starts out pure. It starts out with the intent of making it right for the people that are being screwed over. And then once there's enough power and money involved, it becomes corrupt.
Well, exactly. They got rid of the czars, that whole family of monarchs in Russia in like 1915, 1916. And then they just implemented their own people to do the same thing, but be worse.
Yeah. And the thing is like, I'm not for or against socialized policies. I think any socialized policy that gets discussed, depending on why it's being discussed, what benefits it might have, and then what are the setbacks, like what kinds of roadblocks are going to be in the way of implementing such a program, those are important things for people to discuss. Like welfare, right? Welfare is a great program. The problem is that they don't regulate it in an appropriate way. So it's abused. The same goes for almost any program that you talk about and almost all these are socialized programs. So socialized programs typically come from a place of good intention.
Well, the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. But then because they don't regulate them enough, they get abused. And if they tried to regulate them, they would call the people trying to regulate them racist.
The poor.
Yeah, they would literally.
I need those poor people votes.
They'd lay them right under that bus and drive over them repeatedly, and say that the only reason they don't support this program is because they hate poor people. Meanwhile, they're taking all your tax dollars and sending them to other countries that are full of Nazis that are trying to,
while we're being invaded from the southern border.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's a different topic.
Yeah, well, I've hired a couple of people from south of the border, and they're great. But they're legally here. That's the difference. So, just saying. Anyway, I wanted to start off on this because I think it's an important topic, right? Like the video. If you watch the video at the beginning, they talk about how it's like, oh, Americans don't know shit about shit. They don't know their own history.
We don't,
and this is why they hate socialism and communism. It's true, but not true.
You ever see that guy out in L.A. on the Santa Monica Pier, Mark Dice?
No.
Oh, he goes out there and he just asks people all the craziest, like, satirical but factual, like, stuff that should have been taught in elementary school.
Yeah.
And he's college bragging. Oh, yeah, I'm in college. I'm a poli-sci major, and I'm an engineer. I don't know when the 4th of July is.
Get the
Yeah.
I've
When's the 4th of July? Oh, man.
It's June 18th now, isn't it?
They moved it because of COVID.
Yeah. Shit. Yeah. So this was an interesting article that caught my attention because of TikTok, like nothing else. And I figured bring it to the rest of you people. You get to see it too, right? But the other important topic that we wanted to bring up is the food crisis, or the food supply crisis is what I should call it.
We've been talking about this for months when it came to Ukraine and Russia with fertilizer, with their crop production in jeopardy in Ukraine. And we've also talked about a couple weeks ago the food production plants going up in flames. And
yep.
I mean, we came into the show doing our prep, and I came in with a number that was well undershot.
Yeah, so
I said 18. We just found out
it could be higher than 30.
Yeah, it's
right?
Roughly approximately 30 since January have burned to the ground.
So whether or not you believe that you need to be storing, getting non-perishable food items and building up your storable food supply, that's for you to decide, right? It's your life, your family, whatever, right? But don't ignore the fact that fucking food plants are blowing up, getting hit by planes, and randomly catching fire all around the country and all around the world. But just in the country, yet another food processing plant has caught fire.
But isn't it weird that they're coming out, these major media corporations and even these search engines are trying to get ahead of this and saying, oh, it's not a conspiracy theory, relax, these things happen. It's not what you think, and it's like, well, now that you're out there saying it is the first thing I see, I'm going to question it even more.
Yeah, well, whenever anything in the media tells you something is not a big deal, you should dig in a little further, because typically it's like anything else. Do you remember at the very beginning when inflation started hitting and they were like, don't worry, it's just transitory. It's just transitory.
It'll be over soon.
It's not a big deal, and they're gonna tell people right now, don't worry about the stock market. This is to be expected. The stock market has fallen like crazy in the last 6 months.
Oh, don't worry about interest rates.
Yeah. The only difference between the fall that's happening in the stock market now versus the fall in the beginning of 2020 is that this one is taking a long time and finding no recovery. It's having every once in a while have a day that looks good, but then it quickly tanks again.
Well,
whereas in 2020, when it hit, it collapsed. There was no days. It was a straight down, right? And then from that point, it was all up. But what we're dealing with now is it's been struggling because they've been propping it up with the Federal Reserve. Quantitative easing, and the Federal Reserve doing the reverse repo market where they're giving money and allowing these banks these banks and institutions to maintain liquidity that they don't actually have.
That's right.
So that, come 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern time in the market, you suddenly see an increase
every day.
Every single day.
Every day.
At the beginning of the day, the market tanks.
Yep.
And then around 12:45, 1 p.m., when the reverse repo market hits, suddenly you start seeing an influx of cash. And that's because the Fed Reserve just gave them cash. And now, and then they try to bring it back up. But it's not enough, and it's all fake. It's built on lies and hopes and dreams and, unicorns and fairy tales, and it's not real. So just be ready. That shit's going to collapse. But anyway, they're telling you not to worry. There's nothing to worry about with these food plants burning down, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's what happens when major food production gets destroyed, and these facilities aren't going to be built back in the next week. You know what I mean? This is going to take years to put these storage facilities and processing facilities and the logistics to get the food from farm to factory. And then out to consumer is interrupted completely. So the demand is going to be even more on an already stressed system. I don't think we see anything good coming out of this in any near future right now.
Yeah.
And we're not even talking about the price of gas. How much it's going to cost these diesel truckers to put fuel in their trucks. And
I'm seeing a lot of diesel trucks going on the market right now because normal people can't afford to even fuel those. I mean, they released their barrels, right?
Right.
The Strategic Oil Reserve released their barrels, and you saw a momentary respite in prices.
You saw 12 cents for about 4 weeks. And
then all of a sudden, sometime last week, and I don't know what day it was, I went to sleep, and I woke up the next day, and diesel prices were $1 higher. I'm pretty sure that's accurate.
You're not wrong. When we left for Texas early last week, I think the price of gas was like $3.53.
Yeah.
Or right, if you could get it $3.55 at some spots, and then we come home here and it's $4.28.
Yeah, it's 5
days later. What the hell just happened?
So before we get sidetracked too much, because that is a topic all into itself, the Chesapeake Fire Department, right? So Chesapeake firefighters battled an industrial fire this evening at Purdue Farms. In the South Norfolk area. Plant operators reported a fire in a large soybean processing tank. Firefighters climbed multiple flights of stairs with hose and equipment. That's weird. Why is that there?
I don't know. That's what we do.
Water was applied and
we do that too.
Okay. So the rest of what they write is total nonsense. But there was a fire in South Norfolk at the Purdue Farms soybean processing plant. That is just one of many. I'm going to pull up another one right here. Now, I don't know how reliable the Wine Press Real Christian News is, so don't judge me on this. I can tell you that as we were reviewing the different food processing plants that they claim have burned down, we did find some redundancies. They list over 35 on this article. I think we can safely assume that it's at least 30.
Yeah, approximately 30.
Yeah.
In 5 months.
Yeah, so this is just this says since 2021.
Okay.
So let's say for the year and 5 months that we're dealing with already, we've had approximately 30 food plants in the United States burned down. And this is just the United States. And so, you got some pictures, you got some stuff that really you get into the nitty gritty is when they show you a list,
you
right?
Call it the meat and potatoes of the article.
I guess you should call it the meat and potatoes. So they start off, here's the list, right? And you guys can see it. So you've got the Made Right Steak Company in Pennsylvania. You've got the food processing plant in San Antonio, Texas. I'm sure that's not the name of it, but I know there was one in Texas.
There's a couple.
Yeah, there's a couple. So you might see a redundancy on Texas since they don't name that one. You've got Cargill Nutrina in California, Van Drunen in Illinois. They list one as a potato plant in Maine, and it just goes on and on. And yes, you will find certain things like this is East Conway, beef and pork in New Hampshire. That one we know is true. However, there was another one they list in Maine that I don't think is accurate, the East Conway Beef and Pork Butcher Shop Market in Maine.
It's close to Conway anyway, so it's probably getting just tapped into it.
Yeah, it's probably a redundancy because I bet you Maine listed it
as one of their losses,
and they just aggregated it as a separate event. So there might be a few that are aggregates that are the same event that are just being listed twice. That doesn't matter. What does matter is these food processing plants are burning down. So not only is your dollar not amounting to shit anymore, you can't buy anything because, a dollar is right now a dollar's worth 50 cents.
On a good day.
On a good day.
On a really good day.
And part of that's under Biden, but a lot of that's under Trump because they printed
trillions. They printed
11 trillion. 80% of all dollars were printed in 2020.
Yep.
So, love him or hate him,
he's got it on him.
He was a part of it too.
Yep.
So, if you're not preparing for a food crisis, I wish you the best of luck. That's the best advice I can say.
We were talking about this, not to get too distracted, was the price of diesel is $6.50, almost $7 for home heating fuel. Could you imagine if that was the start of winter up here?
Yeah, a lot of people.
250-gallon tank times, 7. That's a lot of dollars.
Well,
then people will have to make hard choices.
No, they wouldn't.
You're going to get government subsidy.
Yes. And the reason, so this is what makes me really mad is
communism.
So it actually goes right back into the last topic when we talked about communism and socialism, right? So you've got like Elizabeth Warren, you've got Jean Shaheen, you've got Maggie Hassan, you've got New Hampshire representatives, right? And I don't know which one it was, but it was one of the New Hampshire representatives talking about creating a gas tax holiday and creating a program to help people with the price of gas, rather than taking the steps needed to create an increase of supply, which would create jobs, and by creating an increase in supply, gas and oil prices are futures. They're based on the likelihood of an increase of supply. So if you expect more supply to be available, then the price will go down immediately. So all you really have to do is say we're going to drill, and then boom, prices go down because now
people start going to work.
Now the expectation is that the supply will be there, right? But rather than doing that, you've got these representatives that are saying we're going to create a gas tax holiday, and we're going to create this program to help people with paying for their gas, so that they can keep their homes. That's not the answer. Because it's not the answer because it's not really meant to help you. It's meant to get you dependent
and make you vote for them. Like, they helped me out when I was freezing to death.
Oh, I'm not going to vote for Bolduc because he didn't want to give me free gas in the winter. I'm going to vote for Hassan.
These are the same assholes who, when we had a really good surplus and we were doing really good, and gas prices were so low, they're like, hey. While they're low, let's jack up the gas price. They'll never know. They're like, we're going to we're going to increase the tax on the gas, and they're like, they'll never know. They'll never know. It's so cheap right now. Those are the same people that want to help you.
I don't know if anyone's been paying attention, but when we got our gas prices really low, it wasn't just in New Hampshire that did that. There were states that increased their gas tax by like 25%.
Yeah, California.
Maybe it was California.
Yeah.
They're like, well, they can afford to pay for it because we got them a good deal on their gas.
And they'll never know. Now their gas is $5.85 a gallon for the cheap stuff. And now we're authorizing E10. I saw that in Texas.
That's a quick way to screw up your engine.
Yeah, you're going to clunk, 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 clunk. Yeah, just stick some lead in that gas. It'll be fine.
Yeah, but don't worry, because if you screw up your engine and then the next vehicle you buy has to be like some sort of hybrid because of what they're doing, it all works. It all works.
So brilliant.
It all works in their direction. The way that they're pushing this whole thing, it all works that way, right?
Good.
So, I didn't realize you guys are still staring at the article.
No,
all right,
sorry about that.
Here we are again. Hey.
We missed you.
Good to see you. the next topic, right?
It's a sensitive one.
We don't need to talk about the food processing plants anymore.
No, we'll get back to it when another 30 burn down.
And yeah, because it's going to keep happening.
And we're hunting for our own food.
Yeah. Well, part of me kind of likes the idea of that, but except for once everyone's doing it, the food will get scarce.
Real scarce.
Like suddenly game won't be that easy to find. You're going to be like, even fishing will be hard because if everyone's doing it, a lot of people are going to resort to fishing because a lot of people that don't know how to hunt know how to fish. So they'll fish. And then suddenly the lakes will be bone dry, and you'll be like, "Shit!" You're gonna start eating snapping turtles and stuff, you know? And, yeah, whatever. I mean, I've eaten frogs, I've eaten all kinds of stuff, so I suppose I could do it.
Come here, pigeon.
But the next topic on our list, on our agenda, is Roe versus Wade.
Very divisive right now. Always has been.
My question for anyone who's paying attention is, do you think that this Roe versus Wade topic was dropped on you organically, or do you think that this was dropped on you artificially for the purpose of creating a fire under the base of anyone willing to vote for a Democrat right now? So instead of talking about the fact that we have record-breaking inflation and we have, for the first time in many years, we had a negative GDP, instead of talking about how horrible our economy is and how we're sending all of our money to foreign countries right now, instead of talking about all that, or the laptop, instead of talking about the laptop, instead we're talking about Roe versus Wade, which is very strange because it came out of nowhere.
So building on what you just said there, right? They're pandering to get a little bit of swing going their way because things are not going their way at all.
Not at all.
That the people they're pandering to, they really think you're that fucking stupid. And that's what they want. They want you to be dumb. They want you to just buy into what they're selling and then come in a few months and then be like, hey, man, I'm at the ballot box now. Thanks for letting me get to that judge's house. Appreciate it, bro.
Yeah, and
we've seen the results of that. We've done some digging. We've seen some horrible results for doxing judges.
So, and that's the thing. So, now, mind you, these are the same people that if you were to dox someone on their side, so I guess the example would be if you look back within the last 2 years, right? Project Veritas went and did kind of a stormtrooper. What's up?
Oh, there we go.
Was it not working?
No, it's on me.
Oh, it's on you. Mm-hmm. It's on you. Sorry. All right, guys, we're getting used to this. So Project Veritas did. Hold on. Oh, okay. Yeah, we're going to talk about that, Kevin. We're going to talk about
What's he got? What do you got, Kevin, for us tonight?
He said so, and they're allowing people to protest and trying to sway the justices.
Intimidate.
Sway is, well, he actually quoted sway. Yes, they are politicizing.
Well, they've been doing that for a long, long time, but it's pretty flagrant.
Well,
now.
hold on. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. We're going to get there, Kevin. We're going to get there. Give us time.
Gonna let it simmer.
Be patient. All right. So, anyway, I don't remember where I was now. Okay. So, Project Veritas, only about a year and a half ago, they were doing a story on Facebook. And so they showed up at an executive's home. They blurred his address and they tried to interview him, right? Mm-hmm. And then when they played the video, they blurred the address, so they didn't dox the address or anything like that. And Project Veritas got their accounts removed for doxing someone. And all they did was try to interview him. They didn't throw a protest at his home or anything like that. And they got thrown through the ringer for doing this because it was, the extreme left and the mainstream media denounced them for showing up at someone's home. Now, mind you, this is at the same time that CNN showed up at a private person's home, a private woman, and didn't even blur her address. And they were I think they shock journalism surprised her because of something she said online.
Try to ambush them.
Yeah, ambush journalism. That's what it was. But they didn't freak out about that, right? But meanwhile, this right now, the mainstream media is all for the protests that are going on at the justice's home, specifically Justice Alito. So I have some different video, I think, if I can pull it up. But there's what I find really funny about this is these are the same people that just called, if you tried to protest in front of, let's say you protested in front of the judge of the Jussie Smollett case.
Oh, man.
If you were to protest in front of that home,
How dare you,
during that case, do you think the media would have been kind to you?
Well, what if it was just reversed, right? What if these were conservatives at Sotomayor's door about a Second Amendment issue? Yeah, it's still not okay.
Yeah, what if it was a crazed citizen showing up at another federal judge's door?
And just plugging rounds into people.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? Let me see if I can pull...
That's a terrible... I mean, like when you dug into her, she's pretty, left-leaning judge, but it was pretty awful what happened to her and her family. The guy dressed up as a delivery guy?
Well, don't do that yet. We're going to pull that up.
Oh, okay.
So first I want to cover this. So going off of what Kevin was saying there, right? So Jen Psaki was questioned about the peaceful protests, and essentially she stated, or her sentiment was, that the Biden administration essentially encourages this.
You got the Biden bump?
Yeah. So let me see. I hope this isn't too loud. You guys ready?
I do want to ask as well, I mean, the Department of Justice was very swift in responding to school board members who felt like they were being harassed and intimidated a couple months back.
Psac.
Does the president feel
Peppermint
that
patty.
the demonstrations outside of, say, Justice Alito's home, are those attempts to interfere or intimidate?
Well, I think I said yesterday, but I'm happy to repeat because I
just
think
did
it's
that.
important
I
for
know.
everybody to hear that the president's long-standing view has been that violence, threats, and intimidation of any kind have no place in political discourse. And we believe, of course, in peaceful protest.
Peaceful protests.
What I do find
I've heard that term
interesting,
before.
and I
Me
think
too.
many people have noted, is that there are voices on the right who have called out this.
Wait. Can I just show you something? Peaceful protest.
There it is.
Peaceful protest. Fiery, but mostly peaceful protests after police shooting. By the way, the administration that you're dealing with is nothing but activists. This is an agenda. They don't give a shit about the safety of this justice. This is an intent. The intent here is to intimidate, to pressure, to force this judge to rule a certain way.
Alex, would any of this be happening if that draft didn't get leaked?
Yeah, well, that's weird that draft
that's
got
convenient.
leaked. Convenient leakage.
Let me get
And
my-
leakage is normally not convenient.
Yeah, let me put my tinfoil hat on my head and figure out where the fuck that came from.
Kevin, how you feel about leakage, bro? Anyway, let's go back. Finish this up.
Why aren't they stopping them? Because it suits their needs, Kevin.
Yeah.
Protests that are happening, while remaining silent for years on protests that have happened outside of the homes of school board members, the Michigan Secretary of State.
By the way, she just said that everyone remains silent about protests that happen about school board members. I don't know if you remember this, but the Department of Homeland Security and the FBI labeled those parents as terrorists, domestic terrorists, and started,
Tracing them.
and ruining their lives. So they did not sit silently, and no one's a fan of leakage.
No one
Or
likes old
including
drippy.
threats made to women seeking reproductive health care.
Or Cam.
Oh, an ad? Get out of here. I can't even close it.
You sneaky bastards.
Sneaky.
Hey, Breitbart's got to make his money.
Yeah, that's true. Anyway, so the whole thing about this is that this is intentional. The left and the administration is trying to force this pressure and intimidation on the justices.
Mm-hmm.
But all of it, taking a step back, right? All of this seems forced because the Roe versus Wade thing is it got leaked, right? It's not an important topic for what's going on today. And by the way, Roe versus Wade has less to do with abortion than it does with privacy. Mm-hmm. So I'm not essentially against Roe versus Wade. Like, and that might surprise people because, you know, people tend to judge things based on what they're told in mainstream media. So they think that Roe versus Wade is all about being pro-abortion.
That's called propaganda.
Yeah, Roe versus Wade is less to do with propaganda, less to do with abortion than it does with your medical privacy. So I don't want Roe versus Wade to be overturned.
Well,
To the extent that I want to maintain medical privacy.
I think medical privacy is incredibly important in today's society, but we saw what happened with COVID. That kind of goes out the door. But I mean,
true. They've already essentially overstepped Roe versus Wade in that regard.
The idiots out there are the same ones that were saying, "Oh, it's the Don't Say Gay bill." Well, that's not it. But they're the same ones out there going, "It'll get rid of abortion." No, it won't.
Yeah, and it's not.
Morons.
It wasn't just about masks that were for the greater good.
Kevin, you are exactly right. It was taken way too far and way too late for the. Oops! I found out I'm 8.5 months pregnant and crowning. Get rid of it.
So, all right. So I don't have it pulled up here, and I'm not going to take the time to find it. But as in regards to abortion, most people will agree that they don't like. Obviously, there are going to be extremes on either end. You're going to have people that demand that they be allowed to abort a child up until birth. That's insane.
Even after sometimes.
And then you're going to have other people that demand that abortion never be allowed, even if, you know, the health is completely at risk of the mother.
She'll die.
You know, she's going to die based on the presentation of the baby or whatever, right? But most people are looking at this from a moderate lens and saying, like, you know, I don't necessarily support abortion, but I don't want to tell a woman what she can't do. So
I don't want the government telling them.
And I don't want the government to weigh in and tell you what you can't do or what you can do. And so really what we would hope for is that if somebody gets an abortion, it's never going to be anyone in my family, but, you know, fingers crossed. But if they do, that it be early in the first trimester. And it's really not, I wouldn't want it to ever happen outside of the first trimester, and I would never want it to happen after the second. I don't even think it should happen in the second.
I think abortion is a terrible choice. Any way you look at it.
I think a lot of women I think a lot of women that have got abortions would also agree. It wasn't a choice they wanted to make.
And us sitting up here, we'll never understand that you got to go through to make that decision.
Dude, I'm a birthing person. You don't know me.
No, I know you well enough.
It was your baby.
Thanks for taking care of my kids.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, so like most people don't really want to have a say in it. They just don't want it to be allowed to an extent that's like absurd, where it is very clearly a life.
You want to go off the reasonable person standard.
Well, so the argument has become less about whether or not someone should be allowed to have an abortion. The argument in circles of regular people. And it has become more about, when is a life a life? Is it the heart? That's why certain states have adapted the heartbeat bill.
Yeah.
Because that's, you know, that is a pretty sound spot to say that's when it's a life. I don't know if I agree. I don't really have a sound point on this. Like, I don't have a strong opinion other than, like, I'm just not a fan of abortion, but I don't want to tell people they can't do it.
See, I think I'm in the same boat. I think abortion is a terrible thing. I don't think there's anything good that comes out of it, except for the rarest of instances. But there's something something terrible happens no matter what.
Yeah, and if you look though, even if you look at some of these states that are like, I think the exception would be Oklahoma, because I think Oklahoma's trying to ban it outright. Don't quote me on that. It could be Kansas or some other state, but there is a state that's trying to ban it outright. Okay. But most of the states that are saying they want to ban it, they're allowing it early, and they're allowing it for medical reasons or rape or incest, you know, for things like that. So they're still outs. You know, they're pretty much just trying to make it so it's not just a way to say, like, oh, that would be inconvenient for me to have a kid, so I'm going to kill it.
Well, it's like people like to say that. They go, oh, it's just a clump of cells. I'm walking, talking clump of cells.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
I actually saw a really good video of a person discussing the argument and saying, you know, if someone says, oh, well, it can't sustain itself, so it's not a life. It's like, well, a 2-year-old can't sustain itself.
No shit, it'll just die.
So are you saying that we should just, if you don't want that 2-year-old, you should just be allowed to kill it? Oh, no, that would be murder. It's not the same. Oh, weird.
Well, I've had this question too with some women out there, and I'm like, okay, so I'm not going to play on the fringe, but there's a group of people that believe that even late term, right up until they come out, they can abort it. How does that make you feel? Does that make you on the edge of maybe that's not okay? And then it's like, okay, well then at what point? If that's what we're discussing, like at what point? Because you're saying, well, 30 seconds before they're born, before they come in the world, they can be, murdered. At what point? Maybe we can come to a consensus there. Maybe we can meet and have a discussion and protect the rights of the unborn.
Well, I think that the issue too is that some of these states are going above and beyond. It's not just at what point. Some of these states are literally saying that you can. They're not saying it outright. It's not expressly written that you can kill a child after birth. However, the way that they write their bill is that essentially, if your baby dies for neglect or any other reason and you don't take action to save it during its perinatal stage, that you cannot be investigated. They cannot try to pursue legal action against you. California and Maryland are two of them.
So they could give birth to the baby and then just slam dunk it on the ground and be like, nah. I dropped it.
It's more, just to be safe, that might be true, but I think it's more on the lines of like you could just neglect
element.
It and not feed it,
not
feed
die?
him or her, and essentially watch it die, right?
Jesus Christ.
And the perinatal stage, for anyone who wants to know, is the first month after birth. So that means if you're going on the lowest possible end, that's 28 days. So that means that based on the bill that is being pursued in California and in Maryland, you could neglect a baby and let it die up to 28 days after birth.
No consequences.
And there would be no consequence, no investigation, no legal action allowed to be pursued.
What do you think the basis of that legislation comes from, though?
I think the basis of that kind of bill, that mindset is... I think it's just extremists looking to... I really think it's just people trying to say, well, screw you, we're going to go way further the other direction. I don't think anyone wants to kill babies.
Nah.
Well, I think there are certain organizations that like to sell baby parts, but I'm not going to say their names here, and I'm not going to talk about the universities that buy them or the other other countries that buy them. That
double P that was founded by Margaret Sanger. A big fan of eugenics.
God damn. You're probably...
Margaret Sanger.
They probably just put it together.
Yep.
They probably just...
PP.
Anyway, so...
I got a PP.
Really, so if Roe versus Wade, if that gets overturned, there's a risk that you lose some of your privacy rights in medical freedoms, right? However, it should, not guaranteed that it will, it should return that type of oversight to states' rights,
where it should be all the time.
So I'm finally catching up to what Kevin just dropped there.
10th Amendment, baby.
So thank you, Kevin, for being ahead of me again.
Number 10.
But yeah, so states' rights, and I firmly believe in the 10th Amendment and states' rights. I don't think our federal government does, and I
they hate it.
So I don't think Roe versus Wade, they might overturn it, but I think that they'll create some sort of other legislation, or they'll come to some other finding.
Now, what if Alito turns because of the pressure that was put on him? Where do we go then?
Well, hold on. So you want to talk about pressure? All right. So we are going to pull up. This is what's happening right now, and so this video I've got on Bongino Report, just to give him credit. Not that he needs it. He's doing much better than we are. So this is what's happening right now in front of Justice Alito. Oh, no, this is Justice Kavanaugh's house. Okay. So this is in front of Kavanaugh's house.
Oh, Boofy Brett. Get out of my fucking street.
So that's not that bad, right? But still, they're ruining their routine. They're putting pressure on, essentially, it's, this is, I wouldn't call it a riot. I would actually say this is a protest, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, but they're in the street. You know what I mean?
But it's also private property.
But the street isn't.
No, but
and the sidewalk isn't.
No, so and
but
we
then
all
you push the whole nuisance and disorderly conduct thing, and cops love to arrest people for that shit.
We also have this one.
What you got here?
This one is them walking to Alito's house.
Good.
Alito's house.
You'd never guess what group they are by wearing masks.
By the way,
Huh?
Actually, you know what? I'll wait. I'll wait. We're going to talk about this. You want to hear about disinformation, Kevin? Just check it out. We're gonna bring up something very important about this nonsense reaction. That is funny.
That's funny as shit.
That is funny as shit.
Man, Nickelback got thrown under the
He
bus.
likes Nickelback.
It's on his MySpace page.
Oh God.
Oh my God.
All right, there was one more thing I wanted to. So there was one. Oh, where was it? Do you remember where it was? We found one. All right, so.
Oh, this is the judge in New Jersey, right?
All right, I guess we'll bring this up. So even though those protests very much seem like protests, right? They don't seem dangerous. But the issue with doxing federal judges and Supreme Court judges is that they are overseeing important topics that, the decisions are going to influence our lives.
Have huge effects.
Yeah, it's a big deal, right? So there have been nasty cases where things have happened because of the address of federal judges being released. So here we have, right here, federal judge's son, 20 years old, is shot dead, and her criminal defense attorney husband is critically injured. He's not dead. After gunmen disguised as a FedEx driver ambushed their home 4 days after she was assigned a case linked to the Jeffrey
Don't
Epstein.
say his last name.
Oh crap! Did we just get? Shit. You might have blocked it by talking. You might have blocked it by talking. So here's the thing: do I think that this judge was attacked by regular people? No. It was probably by people trying to silence them that were tied to the elites that were gonna get.
Dude, it was one of the guards that left his position when he was watching Jeffy.
It was probably the guard that meant to guard Jeffy.
Had other business to attend to.
He shut off the cameras and went over to the judge's house. That's what happened.
It's my lunch break.
But this is an example, though, of what can happen when a judge is doxxed, right? Her son was killed. Her husband was almost killed. And this is because she was a member of, she was overseeing a high-profile case. It's not okay. Because these people are not meant to be influenced, especially when you talk about Supreme Court judges. They are not meant to be influenced by popular opinion.
And they're supposed to be apolitical.
That's the whole reason why they are put in their position for their life. They're not meant to be influenced by popular opinion. It's not meant to be the trend or what some random group is shouting in the street. It's meant to be, how does this rule of law weigh against the Constitution? Is it constitutional? That's the Supreme Court's job. It's their only job, is to look at things and balance it against the Constitution and decide whether or not it is constitutional. Am I right?
No, it's Schoolhouse Rock 101 right there, dude.
So they're not meant to, look outside and see a bunch of people with like pink mohawks and, birthing person's T-shirts and say, oh my God, I should weigh all this against what they think and what they feel. No, it has everything to do with the Constitution. Now, Roe versus Wade, I'm not sure where I stand on it, but and the reason I'm not sure is because I like states' rights, but I like medical privacy. So I think either way I'm okay, so long as if they do overturn Roe versus Wade, what are they putting in place? Are they putting anything in place?
Nothing.
They wouldn't be, right?
No,
Because
you're
that would go to
removing
the
it.
legislator.
Correct, and that's what they're saying now. But it's kind of a lame duck right now for Biden. He really can't get anything done. So I think it's even
Pussy
gonna get
hats,
worse.
bro.
Nah,
Pussy hats.
They're gonna go to wearing coat hangers on their head.
Yes. Yes. So there was a tweet that I found, and I don't think I have it here. Give me a second. I'll find it. Give me a second. I gotta find it. No, don't.
Not her again.
Don't do that. I'm fucking yelling it. Goddamn. Yeah. So unfiltered. That's bullshit. Oh, I'm on TikTok. That's why. Sorry, guys. Sorry. I'm just going to find one thing. It's not even anything special. It really isn't. It just gives me a talking point. That's all it does.
Ooh, is this the libs of TikTok?
Yeah,
boy.
libs of TikTok.
Home runs all day.
And so as I'm scrolling down libs of TikTok, I will find it eventually. I think I will. I don't know. Maybe I clicked on something else and saw it. All right, I can't deal with it.
No,
I can't look for it, right? But essentially, it was. Oh no, that wasn't it. It was. It was this. It was this. So Lori Lightfoot,
oh yeah,
the mayor of Chicago.
Yep.
Right, she's everyone's favorite. If you've ever seen Beetlejuice, you recognize her.
Mayor Beetlejuice.
She's the tiny head person in Beetlejuice, right? Well, she tweeted, "To my friends in the LGBTQ plus community, the Supreme Court is coming for us next. This moment has to be a call to arms." First of all, that sounds, I don't think it sounds like much of anything, but based on past precedents, they should be banning her because they assume that somehow she's calling for violence.
I mean, it literally a call to arms.
Yeah, but they banned others for less.
They're going to give her that artistic creativity to just use her words as nilly.
Hey, tell me how does Roe versus Wade have any impact on the LGBTQ plus community?
I have no idea.
So
They're just drumming up support, man.
if I'm lesbian, gay, bi, trans, is
Queer?
it questioning?
Queer?
I think it's questioning.
Queer.
I don't think it's queer.
It is queer.
Is it queer?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. If I were one of those groups or a member of those groups, I can't have a child by traditional means. I can't accidentally get pregnant. So how does Roe versus Wade have any impact on me? You can't accidentally get pregnant as a gay person. You can't accidentally get pregnant as a lesbian. If you're maybe trans, I would say trans is the only one that could fall in that category.
I don't.
Because you're pretending, excuse me.
Oh, great.
You're a girl now. I don't know how to.
My head hurts.
Yeah. You're something.
You're special.
Yeah. And people like you.
God damn it, people like me.
God damn. So I don't know.
It's like bringing up the gay battalion. Bring them in. We need them now.
Yeah. I don't know where to go with this.
Fucking lost, man.
I literally. So Lori Lightfoot's tweet is so
just mind bending.
dumb.
Yeah.
That I don't know what to say, other than Lori Lightfoot's dumb.
She's like, we need the gays. Bring them in.
God. Oh my God. I think I'm gonna look up. I gotta
Just
look.
come marching in like the Urukai in fucking Middle Earth. Gay flags waving. Oh shit.
There's gotta be a picture of it.
Oh god. Oh man, classic. That's Lori Lightfoot.
This is probably
That's
better.
before she gets her makeup on in the morning.
This is Lori Lightfoot. Hold on, I want to bring a picture of Lori Lightfoot.
Excuse me, Mayor.
Hold on.
Oh boy, we're in deep shit here.
Hold on. There's gotta be a good picture. Hold on.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, it's the same shirt. It's the same shirt.
That's
Just-
right, everyone.
that's-
just for comparison.
I don't know who wore
I
it
think
better.
I
Who
think
wore
she-
it better?
I think she was uncredited for her role.
Yeah, she did a great job in that movie. Phenomenal.
Michael
Phenomenal.
Keaton, man. Alec Baldwin, pre-murder.
Yeah, pre-murder. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how much you can say about that without risking a lot more.
I'm sorry, but the coat just works.
Dude, the fact that I mean, jeez. You guys can't see it anymore. We're still going back and forth on this picture. It's just like she's wearing the same coat, dude.
Almost the same hairdo.
It is the same hairdo. Well, no, there's
I just
more.
wish her mouth was sewed shut.
All right, let me see. Where is? There it is. There it is. All right, so
Ending on a heavy note.
all right, so fair warning. What you are about to see,
Viewer discretion advised.
viewer discretion advised. This is the body cam footage of the police shooting of Quandry Sanders, and this happened in Lawton, Oklahoma, and it happened only a few days ago.
And let's just be clear. Prior to the arrival, the police were called for a witness who said there was a black man standing in the driveway waving a gun around. The police did not bother to investigate the woman for her claims. Instead, they showed up in force and demanded people out of this house. And what you'll see and what you'll hear is people on the police PA saying, "Come out, you need to meet us outside," and the rest is
Come out wherever you are.
yeah.
All right, ready? Here we go. I've never seen this, so first time. My reaction vid.
It'll be real.
Hands! Hands! Down! 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 Down!
What?
Wait.
Down! Hands! 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 Get right!
Oh my God, dude. Are you serious?
Yeah. Put your hands up. That's all you had to do. Oh, wait, he did that.
He put his hand. Holy
Well,
shit.
first of all, he walked around the corner doing what he was told to do and then got met with a guy with a gun pointed at his head. So, yeah, I'd walk behind a little bit of cover, too.
Dude. I'm really.
This is why I hate the police in America. Cops, on an individual, I bet they're good people. But the police in America are ruined.
I hope that this cop
He's already been
goes
arrested.
to jail forever.
He's been arrested and charged with manslaughter, and there's a couple other ancillary charges that are tied to the manslaughter.
Manslaughter is not accurate. This
No.
is murder.
Yeah, well, and they're not pushing the race card. Do you know why?
Is the cop black?
Yeah. Now, what about the person?
Is that why it's not all over the news?
Well, yeah, and it's been a little bit tucked under the the blankets of what's going on. The woman, I believe, made a false statement knowingly to cause a police response. So
It
should she
should-
be?
She should absolutely.
For murder.
Oh, I would say she should be out of the two. I would think the police officer should be going to trial for murder, and she should be going to trial for some sort of negligent homicide, which would also.
She pretty much swatted him and got him killed.
Yeah.
So
Hey, Tim Pool, this is what they've been trying to do to you.
yeah, the real as we just saw him get shot, and then he was writhing on the ground with gunshot wounds to his
And then
chest.
tried to put his hands up when they
was-
told him to.
He was holding his chest because he had holes in it, and he was in excruciating pain like any human would. And then he even sat up and put his hands up and got shot more times.
Yeah, when the cop was telling him to put his hands up.
Yes.
He literally, even after being shot, he tried to follow the police officer's instructions and then got shot again.
And here's the part that's really hard to watch is the lack of human compassion, empathy, understanding what the hell just happened. They literally let him lay face down and then drag his bloody body across the pavement and then allow him to exsanguinate over 7 minutes while he struggles to breathe and bleed to death.
At
And a
what point did
pilot
they
is-
call medical?
None, and they didn't offer
They
any.
didn't?
They didn't offer any aid to him whatsoever. They kept him face down in handcuffs, and while he was handcuffed, they told him to stop resisting.
Get the. All
Yeah.
right, I'm gonna play it again. I stopped this because that was a lot.
Yeah.
That was a lot already.
So I watched it for the first time. My wife was standing next to me, and I had your exact reaction. She was like, "Oh my God, what is it?" And I was like, "I got to show you this." And she was like, "They just killed that guy."
I literally didn't make it more than 20 seconds into this video, and
Yeah,
it's
a tough one, man.
I don't even know. Like, listen, I mean, you can say all day that police have a stressful job, and sure they do,
yeah.
right? But if you don't have the mental strength to do the job without having essentially jumping and, you know, having like a jump scare reaction and shooting people dead, then don't be a police officer. Like, you can't do it. The difference between a police officer and the regular citizen is you're showing up with a gun. You already know you have it, and you have body armor on, and you know you've got the flashing lights. You've got that. You
got extra people. You got extra weapons.
And if you don't think you're safe, then you're not supposed to go over there. Like, I don't know. Like,
so Alex, if we were standing watch at an entry control point in Iraq, right, and some guy was like hiding behind the HESCO barriers, and he popped out real quick, and you lit him up. After you told him to put his hands up, and he puts his hands up, and you shot him real quick, what would happen to you?
I would get destroyed by my command.
Yeah, you'd go to the brig.
Yeah.
You'd be dishonorably discharged and spend 10 years in prison.
They would do nothing to protect me. That's for sure.
No, and these guys get full exercise of protection for just terribleness.
So I guess the what do they call the immunity that police get?
Qualified immunity.
I'm all for qualified immunity going on.
Oh yeah, I am too.
I mean, I'm okay
because
with
it gives the legal doctrine. It allows them to have. Well, I mean, a cop doesn't know all the laws, but a reasonable person would think they understood it.
So, if a cop is trying to enforce a law,
he needs to know it.
He needs to know it. If the cop does not know the law,
he can't charge you.
He should not be trying to enforce it. And you see this all day long with all those First Amendment auditor videos and stuff. You see police officers don't know shit about their job.
And what's the first thing they do when they become police officers? I swear to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States of America.
And then that's the last thing they do.
What's the Third Amendment? I don't know. You might want to study the 10.
That's the quartering,
10.
right?
Yeah, exactly. That's a quarter. It doesn't make any sense, but yeah, it's the one you need. You just need to know the 10.
It's an
interesting shit.
Yeah. Now I don't pretend to hate all cops.
No, we work with them.
Yeah,
you know they're good people.
And literally all the cops that I work with are great. I haven't seen them in situations like this. I've seen police in certain situations where they want me to force people to go to a hospital, and I'm like, nope,
sign here, sir.
This person's answering all their questions appropriately. This person can make decisions for themselves. They're not a threat to themselves or others. I'm not trampling on their rights. I just got into an argument with a medic about this.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, because we signed someone off. I don't know. I can't go into a lot of detail, right? So we signed someone off, and then only a few hours later, that person tried to do something bad to themselves.
Okay.
But when we signed that person off, everything was fine.
They weren't a threat to themselves or others. They knew what was going on.
Exactly. So when we were at the hospital with a different person, different patient, that one came, and then a medic started, trying to chew me out, saying, how dare you do that? This and that. I literally had to look at a medic and be like, you weren't fucking there.
Yeah, shut your mouth.
Like, what the hell you got to say about this shit?
No shit.
I'm like, first of all, nothing about my license, nothing about what I do gives me the authority to strip people of their constitutional rights.
None.
And if a person tells me that they're not under the influence, if they tell me that they're not a threat to themselves or others, I can't make a judgment. It's literally, I'm not allowed to judge.
Especially if they can prove that too.
So if that person decided to then shortly after go and do all the horrible things that they said they wouldn't do,
that's another person's problem, not mine.
That's their decision.
Yep.
But I literally had to get into a friggin' debate about this with a medic trying to tell me that that what I did was wrong. And I'm like, yeah, you can go kick rocks.
Yeah, bro. You can take that disco patch and shove it.
And they literally, they pulled the pin and started walking away. And as we're trying to answer,
hey, get back here, right?
Yeah, they talked a bunch of shit and then started walking away. And we're like, oh, you're gonna talk shit and then leave as we're trying to explain ourselves to you? Like, F you,
yeah, F you brick.
And all of a sudden, they come back and eventually, they cower down and they're like, oh well, the night it was the police's fault. I was like, sure,
Why are
not
we blaming
really.
people? Yeah.
You know, why? I don't know the desire to blame. All right, let's get back to this.
Do you want to go from a little bit when it happened, or we're going to keep going?
No, we'll start again.
Yeah, it's just.
Hands! Hands! Down! 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 Hands! 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 Quit racing!
Dude, I just,
Quit racing! Quit racing! Down! Stay down! Roll over! Roll over! I'm down. Roll over!
Roll over on your stomach.
I can't breathe.
Stomach. Hey, can you see this door?
I can't.
Okay.
I got it.
Go ahead.
Yep.
Hey, we got to
dude,
back
I
up.
can't stand
Go
this.
ahead. Go ahead.
We're gonna pull him back. Go ahead.
Get the door. Get the door. I got him.
Okay. Y'all pull him out the yard. Yep. Pull him out the yard. Go ahead. Pull him out the
Got him.
Go ahead. You little farmer. Keep going back.
Yep. I got cuffs.
They really just dragged him.
Yep. Now we got to cuff him. Got
Do you hear
blowholes
his
all through.
breathing, dude? That's like agonal
Oh
breathing.
yeah, he's dying. He's dying,
Nico, you got him?
Yep, I got him.
and he doesn't die very quickly either. You can see it pouring out of him.
If you're in here, come outside. Put your hands up. Come out slowly. One police officer.
Really glad they're rendering aid and some pressure dressings on him.
Keep your hand out to us. Are you the husband? All right, step out to us, sir. Step out to us.
Quit moving. Quit moving.
Quit moving. See that? See that? Quit moving.
Quit reaching.
What
Quit
threat?
reaching. Quit
what
reaching.
threat do they think he is
fucking
at this
kidding me?
point?
Quit reaching. Fuck you.
You and I both know that he is not having. He doesn't have the wherewithal mentally right now.
But yeah,
He's not thinking about fighting anyone.
He's hypovolemic and hypoxic at this time. Jesus. No, just that pressure on his arms really helping him.
They just fucking murdered this guy,
And
dude.
let him die.
This is for educational purposes, YouTube and Facebook, to show anyone who doesn't believe.
I have nothing to.
Where's the shot at?
Of course you have nothing. He wasn't armed.
Where you shot?
Where were you shot?
76, 77, 1018.
I ain't got. There's nothing but tourniquet. There's nothing but. It's all hot.
Let's put some pressure on. Keep him on the side. Come here, give me some gloves.
I got you.
Gloves.
Here.
Get back.
I'm surprised they didn't shoot his fucking
It
dog.
looks like they were about to.
Where's it taking it? Where's it at? It's all body.
It's all. He's got LT.
How many? Hey, roll him on the side. He's starting.
LT's gonna be multiples.
1, 2, in and out. I see at least 4 or 5.
Yeah.
4 or 5. Clean house. Okay.
Well, the good thing is to stop bleeding.
I know we can do LTE. We got chest here. 77, 1018. Multiple chest wounds.
Dude, Kevin, I don't know.
It's
This
okay.
is.
Be quiet. Thank you. I want him rolled to his back side. Keep him all the way. All the way on his back. All on his back. What's your name, bro? What's your name? All right. What's your name?
Are you serious?
I want.
Dude, the guy is not going to talk to you. He was already doing agonal breathing. He literally was not having cognizant brain function at this point. He's completely hypoxic.
Okay.
Hypovolemic too. There's no blood-brain barrier being, nutrients going back and
Get up
forth.
here. Hey, Nathan, where you at?
I'm right here.
Trauma kit. Trauma kit. Let me see what we got. We got Felix.
I don't know how much should I watch anymore?
No. So
I
these
can't
guys aren't
watch
even.
any more of
So
that,
they're
dude.
going to give them a badge and a gun, and then they have no skills to know what to do if they ever have to use that gun. Clearly.
Dude, I'm pretty upset right now. Like
Yeah, it was.
that was harder.
shocked.
That was harder to watch than Amir Locke.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy was very obviously. Now, I get that he ducked behind the fridge, right? I understand that they could use that to explain why they did what they did. But based on what I saw, there was no real justification.
I saw him take what I think he had
Looked like he had a hat in his
ball
hand or
cap and his
something.
white ball cap, and he moved it from hand to hand, back and forth. Obviously, there's no gun in it. Whew, that's a brutal one.
This is So we've been pretty consistent, right? We've covered a lot of these shootings. It doesn't matter the race of anyone involved.
Nope.
Really, all that matters is that you understand that, these, whether it be police officers or what have you, people are, it's almost exclusively police officers that are, what's the saying? They have the monopoly on violence. The
monopoly of force, yeah.
So our government has the monopoly on violence.
Because
and
if you or I did that as a private citizen, we'd be in jail for murder. He gets manslaughter, we'll be out in 5 years.
Yeah, and you just watched the video, Kevin, and exactly no words.
None.
There's no way to describe. Literally, that was the first time I'd seen it, and I had to pause it very quickly because it was just it was a lot.
Yeah.
That was immediately this guy being Quandry Sanders. You see that his hands are not, he doesn't have a weapon. He's not presenting as violent.
And he's following commands to come outside.
And he was following commands, and then they point a weapon at him.
Well, remember, the guy took cover behind something and then flashed his light at him with a handgun pointed at him. He was like, whoa.
And then, what really throws it next level, like
when he's down.
They've already shot him like 4 times. Mm-hmm. And then they tell him, hands up, hands up. He literally pops up with his hands up,
gets 6
and they
more rounds.
Fucking shot him a bunch more times.
It's actually one cop did the shooting, and it was that cop's on the badge cam we were watching.
I'm amazed. I am amazed that they released this footage.
They had to, because it was that egregious. And of course, the department is going to throw that officer to the wolves, and that'll be the end of it. And the town will get sued, and a bunch of money will go out, but none of this needed to happen. And what happens to the person that made the false claim that there was a guy running around with a gun?
Yeah, that's a big what if, or what will happen. I imagine that if you're going to treat it fairly, if somebody's calling in a fake call and it leads to the death of someone, I think. Put it this way: if you're going to charge the cameraman in the Ahmaud Arbery case with murder, then you should charge the person who made this fake phone call with murder.
Yep.
I guess that's where I would leave it
as well.
That's where I would leave it, because and if anything, the cameraman in that case had less to do with it, because the cameraman was just there.
So, Alex, we've seen this a bunch of times with a bunch of cops and a bunch of other breakdowns. What can we do to prevent this from happening?
You have to remove authority from police officers. You got to take some. I don't know.
Is it a better screening process? Is it, I don't know, a better psychological evaluation of the cop? Because that was way too getting after it way too fast.
So it makes you wonder: is this cop is he a coward? Because his response was like scared shitless,
lethal force right away, and he was tense before the guy even came out. And the guy was coming out with something in his hand. You didn't shoot him then.
You already saw his hands and saw that there wasn't a weapon.
Let's break it down real quick, right? He steps out. And there's 2 cops facing him directly in line of sight.
Yeah.
Him, the third cop, is off to the right on the driveway, and he assumes cover. Fine. But then he kind of pies out a little bit and only gets a glimpse of the target.
Yeah.
The other 2 officers are facing straight ahead, can see him, front face. He's not bladed away. They don't shoot.
Yeah.
And then here you are just gunning him down. Not good.
Yeah. No, Eric, this is... So, Eric, I don't know if you saw some of our earlier videos, but we've shown a couple of these. A lot of them are no-knock raids. This is, I think, the first no-knock raid shooting that we've covered.
Like a direct call.
But this one is just more... I think this might be more egregious.
This is the worst one.
All of them were bad. None of them could be justified. There's no way. But this one, we watched the cop. You're watching his camera. Now, mind you, on his body camera, you're seeing less perspective. So the fact that we're seeing it that clearly,
it's a good
in real life, he's seeing it even more clearly.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
So what we see is grainy footage. He's seeing in real life. He's seeing the hat very clearly, the khaki-colored looking hat or whatever in real life, and the empty hand on the other side. This is absurd. And then to shoot him down multiple shots, knock him down on the ground. The guy is now bleeding out.
In terrible pain.
And you, from that close, if you're a trained shooter, with a handgun, which every cop is, especially that close, he didn't miss. So this cop knows that he just put several holes in this man, and now he's on the ground writhing in pain. You tell him to put his hands up, and he literally complies, which is insane. I would never expect someone to comply once they've already been shot like 4 or 5 times.
Nope.
Because most people won't have it in them. Like the fact that Quandry Sanders popped up to put his hands up, and it was obvious. I mean, his hands were straight up, and then gets lit up again. How do you stop that? How do you prevent? What do you do? Like, what do you think we do?
I don't know, man.
I mean, dude, I'm kind of upset that you hit me with that at the end. I'm really not okay with it. You did say it was bad.
The officer that did this, he has been arrested. He has been charged with malice of manslaughter.
Should be murder.
Should be. It's not going to be. I don't know what's happening to the reporting party that made the false call.
Should also be murder.
Just to be clear, there was no weapon found on him. There was no weapons in the house. The police didn't even do an investigation before they brought force. They just said, oh, okay, they got guns, let's wrap them up. And that's what you got. You got guys coming in at a 10 when they should have just knocked on the door and said, like, hey, we got a call from your crazy-ass neighbor across the street saying you're running around with a gun. Nope. Yeah. Nope. Don't do that. God forbid you do a fucking investigation as a cop.
So this might not have been a no-knock raid, but this is the reason why no-knock raids are not okay. Because if you don't know that the police are coming through and you make any sudden movements because someone just broke in your door,
you're dead.
You're dead.
You're dead.
No-knock raids do nothing to further investigations. All they do is lead to murder at the hands of police officers that they get to justify as some sort of defense of their own safety, when in reality, they broke into the sanctity of your home and murdered you.
Yeah.
And
God bless America.
This guy, was he on his own property?
Yes.
So what is there's some sort of porch law.
The castle doctrine?
No, not the castle. It's probably a portion of the castle doctrine, but there's your front porch is considered a part of your domicile. It's considered protected.
It's like inside your house.
Yeah, so police officers, if they come up onto your porch, they can do a knock like a regular person would.
And they have to step off.
And if you say they are not welcome and they have to leave, they have to leave. They don't have any right to be there. So they've violated this guy's rights, on top of then murdering him, and all because of some false call.
Yeah.
And it's not a racial thing. It's not. It's just police being quick to pull the trigger, because the police officer and the victim were both black. It's not. It's not a racial thing. This is absurd. All right. I guess, you know what? I think... Oh, man.
That's a tough one to end on.
That's a tough... You don't want to end like that. You'd like to end on a better note. I guess I'll say this. Pay attention to the way that you're voting. Pay attention to the bills and, kind of the direction that your representatives are going, because you want to make sure that we can limit this kind of action and the consequences thereof from happening. It doesn't matter, this happened in Oklahoma, but that doesn't mean it couldn't happen in New Hampshire. It doesn't mean it couldn't happen in Massachusetts or Maine, up in the New England area, which is where we are. So just pay attention, people need to have the sanctity of their homes need to be protected. Your rights need to be protected. And you shouldn't be allowed to have your privacy violated because of a random phone call.
No, that's unsubstantiated and unwarranted.
Yeah. So
could you imagine if someone could just make a phone call and they're like, all right, you got to come with us until we figure it out. No, that's not how this works.
And that's the reason why I brought up that call that I was on, where I refuse to violate somebody's rights and try to force them to go to the hospital when they're not making any claims or anything that makes them
right in the back of your head,
psychologically unstable.
Right in the back of your head, like, all right, we could drive away, and this guy could be like,
yeah,
and you're like, oh well.
So I guess the moral of the story of all of this is the police department and all that is the police force is a socialist concept, and it's doing what socialism and communism does:
democide,
fucking killing people. Roe versus Wade is just a talking point that's been conjured up right now for midterm support, because they don't want to talk about what's really going on in our country and our economy, because that would mean that nobody votes Democrat right now.
Ever again.
And for anyone paying attention, you know that the food supply it might not be under attack. Let's, be fair, and I'll say maybe it's not under attack, but it sure looks like it's under attack.
It's not doing well. It's going up in flames.
It's going up in flames, whether it's being burned to the ground by, quote, natural causes or being crashed into by planes.
Not intentional, though.
Not intentionally. The food supply is burning to the ground.
Yeah.
So get yourself some storable foods for the sake of just having them. If you don't need them, great. Great. Stand firm against communism. So pay attention to, what's really going on. And, you know what? Just protect yourself and your family. That's really all I got to say. Semper Phallus.
Semper Phallus. We're always dick. Like, comment, subscribe. Hit us on Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, Rumble, Bumble.
Yeah.
Everything. Oh,
Yeah.
We're on Truth, too.
Yeah, we're on Truth Social. We got on Truth Social just so we could try to interact with Trump. And I tried, and he didn't interact. So probably just going to... There's not a lot of action on Truth. So anyway, hey, guys, like, share, comment. You guys already commented. But please share this. And, pay attention. And we'll see you next week. All right. Love you guys. Have a good night.
Stay dicked.
Stay dicked.